Let's talk about deepeners in conversational hypnosis. So, if you have done a course in hypnosis or you just know hypnosis, then you will have heard about deepeners. And of course, that usually comes at the beginning of your of the protocol, the hypnosis protocol. So basically, you count them down, and then you either say certain things or do certain things to to create a deeper state in hypnosis. Now, deepeners do exist in conversational hypnosis as well, or the form that I am practicing and training. But it's very different. So the focus on the session is is exactly the opposite. So instead of going into it and then doing the hypnosis, let's say walking down the stairs or the relaxation and then deepness and then let's say regressing them or reading something to them. Instead of doing that, we start with a conversation. So as the name suggests, it it feels like a conversation. And depending on the client, so for instance, a highly analytical client such as myself, it really feels like a conversation. So there is no closing of eyes or anything like that. But still, the idea of deepener exists. So deepness, the depth is not a focus, the depth is not important, but we are going deeper. We are working with the unconscious, just the way you would in hypnosis. And the first thing so three ways we use um, deepness. First is by starting. So as soon as you start, you are actually deepening the conversation. You are taking a step towards the unconscious. And that is by saying, what's the problem? So as simple as it might seem, when we ask somebody, what is the problem? And really that's how I start all my sessions. What's the problem? It is simple, it is clear, and it is not imbued with all sorts of other things like, oh, how are you feeling today? And this and that and that. Instead, what's the problem? Yeah. And they start talking about it, which means that they need to access unconscious things as well. Now, to what extent they do it, that depends on the individual, right? Because sometimes we have actually talked about and thought about our problems so many times that it just comes out automatically. So it is like a word vomit, right? So it's just you can tell that the person is not really present in the sense that they are not actually listening to themselves and approximating what they think is the truth, but they actually just recount something that they have just learned or have done. There's just an automaticity about it. But you might actually end up with talking to somebody who you ask, so what's the problem? Kind of uh because they might have been asked about it differently. So all of a sudden they think, yeah, what is the problem? How is it best that I can verbalize this? How is it best that I can talk about it? What is the problem? Yeah, so it depends, but that is your first step towards deepening the conversation. And of course, as I said, it can be very automatic. And what you want, yes, you want a deeper conversation, something that goes past the automatic ways we think, past the recycled thoughts, because and obviously past the symptom, the presenting problem, right? We all know that that is a symptom. And of course, if you continue talking about the symptom, it could just be an everyday conversation. Now, sometimes that can be really helpful, but usually when somebody comes to you, comes to a therapist, a hypnotherapist, with a problem, it's because they have tried to resolve it. They have tried to talk about it with numerous people. They have tried to think themselves out of it, and it was not fruitful. Therefore, they come to you because they are hoping to find some other way to approach this problem. And what we do in conversational hypnosis is that we don't just pay attention to what they are saying. We're not just listening to the story, to the narrative. We are actually paying attention to the unconscious moments. And whenever you notice an unconscious moment, you will ask a question about that. And that makes the conversation even deeper and deeper because you are approximating something that is unconscious for them, that is there, that is probably fueling the problem, but they have not been able to access it. When they were thinking about it, when they were talking about it, they haven't been able to access it. Therefore, they have stayed at the surface level, at the symptom level, and you go past that as the hypnotherapist, as the therapist, by focusing on it, by noticing it, and by bringing awareness to it, by asking about that one thing that I might have said, or that breath, what was that? And by bringing that in, you are probably actually going away from the presenting issue towards other topics that are connected to it, that are fueling it. And therefore, you're helping them solve it. And of course, the third one is when they are deep in their thoughts, when they are maybe not even thinking anymore because they are in a state of I don't even know what's happening. uh, but they are actually in trance, then the only thing that you really want to be there for, not to ask more questions, not to tell a story, not to say anything, because you don't want to interrupt it. As we know, the client knows their life, their unconscious mind is better placed than anyone or anything to find the solutions and to give them those resources that they need to solve the problem, to move past it, to bring choice back again. So what you want to do uh is to use to keep them safe, or when you feel that, when you hear that, using process instructions, for instance, there you go, right, that's right, yeah. So kind of showing that you are there, you're noticing that things are happening, but not actually interrupting. And of course, if you see that there's a lot of emotion, you can talk to them and say, "You're doing great. I'm here. You're safe. I'm here for you." So kind of reassurance and process instructions to say, "Yes, I have noticed that unconscious moment. I know I am actually reading it. I am paying attention to what you're saying at both conscious and unconscious levels, and that you are safe here." So just to recap, yes, we use things that could be conceptualized as deepeners because they are making the experience deeper, but not the traditional deepeners, or not the way it has been traditionally conceptualized. So, and of course, the first thing is just asking about the question, asking about the problem with a question. What's the problem? You're already making it deeper. The second is paying attention to unconscious moments and actually saying that I am noticing it, and asking questions about those things so that they go deeper. And the third one is process instructions, and keeping them safe so that they feel that they can go as deep as they need if they need to, but the focus is not on depth. The focus is on accompanying them on their own journey, uh, and to approximate the needs that they have, because every single individual is different. And even if those differences are minuscule, if you honor them, then by not directing them, but by accompanying them, then you can get much deeper and faster results than with anything else.